Greetings, everyone. Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the latest episode of Monday Musings, where we talk about life in general and all the things that are going on in my life. Interesting or not, you're here. Buckle in. Buckle up. Buckle in. It's buckle in. We got a show to do. I don't like the way the light looks on my face right now. Let's see if that's a issue. And it is thundering really bad outside, so if it disconnects me for some reason, you'll know why. There, that looks a little bit better. Ah, perfect. All right, today's show, let's talk about a few things. Okay, first up, so last week I mentioned while I was recording the show, I was talking about how Kindle, I was like, I've been looking at Kindles, for the past few months. Don't really need one, wouldn't mind one, because I do reading on my phone after the tablet died. Um, just kind of hands in the air about it. But my brother's been recommending me to get a Kindle Paperwhite for a long time, like the whole year. Like I think he recommended it to me back around February or March. And I kind of, once a month I would check in and see if there was any deals. And lo and behold, last week there was, but then I missed it because I was discussing it with Chris. Do I really need it? Um, we don't like to spend money frivolously, and because we're saving up for a house and stuff. So it's like, you're just budgets. Budgets are important. And then when I record the show, it was like, yeah, didn't get it. Maybe next time. I'll wait till Black Friday, right? Well, that Sunday, uh, uh, I believe it's that Sunday or that Monday. I forget now. It's a blur. Um, Immediately after that, I happened to go on Amazon and it was on sale again, only cheaper than it was the first time. So it went down from $150 down to 90. And I was just like, get done. I'm not even. It's just like destiny is like telling me you need to get a Kindle. Like, so I got a Kindle Paperwhite, and it arrived last Tuesday. Um, and I promptly got the Mistborn trilogy, which I've never read before. I enjoyed Brandon Sanderson's finale to The Wheel of Time. He's definitely a very talented writer, um, but I've never read any of his work. I've just been too busy with life and other stuff, and I got out of reading around the time the final Wheel of Time book came out. Is kind of when I stopped reading like I used to, and got into game development and just kind of moved on. When you have a hobby like game dev, which has now become way more than a hobby, it's something that takes up a significant amount of time. So before I wasn't doing game dev, so I had lots and lots of time to read. Um, but be that as it may, I'm making time to read now. I've been trying to make time every single night for a little bit. I try to at least read at least one chapter. Uh, I gotta say, uh, Sanderson is really good. The dialogue and like I'm in. I just read chapter 6, I think, the other night. Um, like the dialogue is really good. They're in the planning stages for what they're doing here in this first Mistborn novel, and I'm like, man, this is good stuff. Like the dialogue between these, 6 or however many people there are who are in this planning this caper, very well done. Dialogue is just really smooth, back and forth. Highly recommended. Of course, everyone recommends Sanderson, so it's pretty amazing. I will say though, when I first started reading, it got me because like the prologue, I got like halfway through the prologue, I was like, this is an interesting introduction during the first half, but then the second half was like, oh snap! Like he just throws you right into it, and so I was like, okay, this is why Sanderson is up there with one of the most popular. I mean, he is Tor's golden boy now since Jordan's passing, and rightfully so. Obviously, though, good writing can become great writing with great editors, and that's something that I think can transform anybody from just a good writer into an excellent writer. Is just having good editors who can come along and help guide and craft that story um, into what it needs to be. So between the team there, Sanderson's work really shines. I'm having a lot of fun. I can't wait to read the whole trilogy. So, um, got a Kindle. That's the first update. I'm reading the Mistborn trilogy. That's the second update. And I've got a bunch of older books that I want to reread because I really enjoyed them, and it's been a very long time since I have. And some of them are done in POVs that I'm on projects that I'm working on. So I am going to read the Mistborn trilogy, and then I'm going to turn around and I was in the middle of reading the Dragonlance Chronicles to very slowly. Though I wasn't reading that as a pleasure read. I was going through and taking lots of notes and doing R&D reading for the work that I'm doing on Project Dramond. So that's on there now, and I'm going to turn around and read the Thrawn trilogy, the first Thrawn trilogy that Timothy Zahn wrote back in the early '90s, which kicked off the Star Wars extended universe. Because I haven't read those since probably the late '90s, early 2000s, and they're really good. So I was like, it's been 20 years. I need to go back and read those again and just get my mind to that. Because I haven't read good sci-fi in a while, and those are fun sci-fi. It's not anything hard. It's just fun, adventure filled, and those are the types of stories I'm interested in writing right now. Fast-paced, adventure-based tales with lots of main characters, because that's what I'm doing with Project Dramond. So I'm enjoying those types of reads right now. It's nothing heavy. It's nothing serious. These are not necessarily award-winning novels, in the sense that they're not groundbreaking or anything, but they are highly entertaining and introduce some very interesting characters. I mean, the Thrawn series, we got Grand Admiral Thrawn, who became canon, right? Like one of the only characters from Extended Universe to become canon was Grand Admiral Thrawn. Then we also got Talon Card. We got um, Mara Jade. We got the Nogri. Like, I mean, I'm sad that Mara Jade hasn't ever officially become canon or Talon Card because those two characters are really freaking cool. And I like the books too because Luke Skywalker is like in his prime and he's just going around being like a James Bond badass. Um, I don't remember all of those books, but I remember some of the storylines. So I'm really looking forward to reading those. I'm going to try to read a book a week. Would be ideal. I don't know if that's going to happen. It kind of depends on the book. Looking at Sanderson's books, where these things are like 200,000 words each. If I'm only reading, I'm only on chapter 6 after. Well, I'm recording this on Sunday. I didn't read last night because I ended up watching a movie with Chris. Um, but I don't know if I'll get a book a week, but I'd like to get a book a week. That'd be ideal. We'll see if that happens or not. If I adjust my schedule, it would happen. If I stop streaming, it would happen. But I'm streaming a few hours a day right now as my Twitch experiments, and that takes up a little bit of time. We watched. What did we watch this week? Hey, Chris, what did we watch this week? You remember the movies? I'm trying to think. We watched two animated movies the other day. Um, oh, one was The Road to El Dorado, which I've seen a couple of times. She'd seen once before, but it was like fun stuff on Netflix. Um, I can't remember the other animated film that we watched, but then we watched Princess Bride. Princess Bride was on our version of Netflix for the first time ever, and it was like we were scrolling through movies yesterday or the other night to look at what we were gonna watch, and she's like, "I want to watch a comedy today." I was like, "Fair enough." Went to the comedy section, and the very first movie that popped up was Princess Bride. I was like, oh, "We're watching Princess Bride," because she's only ever seen it once, and I made her watch it years ago before her English was any good, and she watched it with subtitles and got some of it, but not a lot of it. But this time it's on Netflix. It's dubbed, so we just watched it in Spanish, and they did the dubs very well. Um, and she was giggling like a schoolgirl. I sent my brother some videos. It was quite amusing watching her act like a child watching that movie, because that is a good movie that turns everybody into a kid again. Very good movie. I can't remember the other animated film we watched. I should have wrote it down, but it is what it is. But we'd had a day the other day where we watched two animated films back to back, um, and sometimes there's some good anime out there. But these were like classic animation films. So in any case, what are we getting into next? Probably, I think we're meandering towards the Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Man, this game is good. Lots of people are making comparisons to Baldur's Gate 2, saying that this is the Baldur's Gate 2 to the Pathfinder Kingmaker, which was their version of Baldur's Gate 1. Pathfinder Kingmaker was good. The only thing I didn't like about it was the time limitation that you had, because there was some time stuff which kept you on your toes and didn't let you necessarily complete all the things you wanted to do during the first playthrough. I don't know if that's the case in this game because I'm only about 15 hours in right now. But I will say the writing is there's so much more. It's so much better. There's just so much more going on. The stakes are so much higher. Um, I'm been blown away by Wrath of the Righteous so far. Um, it's a little hard to play because I'm not intimately familiar with all the lore of the world. And there's just so much going on, and like as you're reading the text, they're throwing up the purple dialogue. You can hover over it and it'll tell you all this information about these different things. And it's like there's all this stuff that's been going on in the world, and this is all about this one this the fifth crusade, I think is what it's called, um, to deal with the world wound where all the demons are coming from. And this is just like a campaign setting in the overall, as I understand things. I'm not intimately familiar with Pathfinder, but as I understand things, this is from a campaign setting that took place within the overall Pathfinder universe. So I don't know anything about the Pathfinder world or the lore or any of those things. So there's so much going on here that I felt a little overwhelmed at time, which is a good thing because this is also a case study in what I eventually would like to do with what we're building. Because if you look at the way they did it when you're playing the game, occasionally they'll be on a loading screen. It'll have something like, "You want to know more about what's going on? Don't forget you can pick up the Pathfinder campaign RPG modules and the source books to dive into Pathfinder more deeply and immerse yourself in the world." And I was like, that is great marketing, very well done, to spin people back around and say, "Hey, don't forget this isn't just about this video game. There's also the Pathfinder books, and you have the modules, and you have the miniatures, and all this other stuff." So we're not at the point where we can do an RPG. It's just not feasible right now. We don't. It's just not going to happen. We actually debated it the other day. We were sat there talking. It's like, as we were getting deeper into the point and click game, it's like, what if we added this and we started doing an RPG element? And then we were like, no, because if we do that, then it's going to take 2-3 years to develop, and we don't want to take 2 years. We just want to do something that's, you know, in and out in a year. Um, and that's a point and click, because we could do that pretty easily with the framework that's in place of getting in and out and have a chapter out within a year, then develop the second chapter, have that out in a year, have a third chapter, have that in a year, do a trilogy, and then be done, and then move on and do an RPG. At least that's the rough idea. But we can. It's great to play games like this because you can see the potential if you've got a good fleshed out universe. I don't know why no one has done in a very long time. No one has done a CRPG as well as this in the D&D universe, whether it's Forgotten Realms or um, Dragonlance. Because Solasta homebrewed 5th edition. Um, this is obviously Pathfinder, which is a homebrewed edition of D&D from back in the day. In any case, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is, man, I would highly recommend you buy it if you like CRPGs. I don't know how much gameplay in this game, but I was reading online the other day, like I was looking up some things because I didn't understand a couple things, and people were saying that you can go all the way to 40th level. I've been playing for 15 hours, and my character's just hit level 4 or level 5. I forget. It does not go fast. Like, you do not level up quickly. And I'm sitting here going, "Holy crap! Is this game gonna have like 100 hours of gameplay?" Like, it very well could. I'm waiting to see. But I've heard that it's very big. It looks amazing. It plays amazing. It could use, obviously it's a lot of work. That was the one distinction I noted when I look at, say, Pillars of Eternity 2 compared to Pillars of Eternity 1, is Pillars of Eternity 2 went 100% fully voiced, which is something that I thought was just absolutely amazing. Now, the voice acting they do have in Wrath of the Righteous is extremely well done, but it's not everywhere, and so it's hit and miss. It's in major scenes, but not throughout the rest of it. And that's the one complaint, which is not a complaint against the game at all. It is a minor thing of going, wouldn't it have been cool if they could have add, voice out throughout everything. I haven't reviewed the game yet. I'm not going to review the game yet. Um, Maybe I'll do a review by the end of this week, but I need to get deeper into the campaign so that I understand a little bit more of the breadth and the scope of what's going on here, because I know there is a major aspect of the game is that you eventually get to the point where you start to become a mythic character, an actual mythical hero that can convert into like one of the angels, and so you can ascend from mortal to beyond. And I kind of want to get see if I can get to that point before I do a review, because I feel like I need to do that before I can do a review any justice. As of right now, I would give the game a 9 out of 10. The 9 being it's not fully voiced. That is a that is not a critique of the game. That is a personal flavor thing for me that takes it from a 10 out of 10 and drops it down to a 9 out of 10. But other than that, this game has been flawless so far. No bugs that I've seen. Frame rates have been a little choppy in a couple of places during cutscenes, but other than that, it's an amazing game. The writing, to be honest with you, I've always said that the best writing I've ever seen in a game was Lord of the Rings Online. This game, it's up there. Like I'm saying it right now. I think this is going to end up being in my top three. If this plays out and I get 100 hours out of this game, this is going to put it up there with Baldur's Gate 2 as like one of my favorite RPGs of all time. Pillars of Eternity 2 as well. Those games, good CRPGs that have so much dialogue and so much depth and so much lore and so much love poured into these games. Kudos, Owlcat Studios. You did a good job. Um, I'm a year into my beard. Um, not, it is what it is. It's not a perfect beard. I'm a little thin on the sides and I can't grow it on the things here. But Chris likes it and she wants me to go for the Gandalf look. So we're going to go one more year. I do not anticipate that I will live the rest of my life with a beard, but since I'm already committed to a year, I have a day job that doesn't require me to have to look a certain way because I'm never on camera or anything. So I'm just going to keep growing it for now. Um, and we're going to see where it gets, despite its raggediness, a little thicker on this side than it is on this side. It is what it is. It has become quite, it's a little bit of a hassle. It's gotten to that point, because when I want to do a video like this, I actually have to go put water in it and make it look somewhat respectable, because like I just woke up from a nap earlier and it was all mushed over to one side and sprazzed out to here. It is what it is, but all right, let's move on to Project Dramond stuff. We mentioned this last week. I'm going to reiterate this week. We are coming up. End of the week will be the 100th video. It'll actually be more than 100 videos because we've done, we have the tabletop games thrown in here and everything else. But so I miscalculated slightly. I think it's going to be, it'll be slightly over 100. But the 10th, the stand up that we do on Wednesday the 8th, which will come out on the 10th for the public. For Patreon subscribers, it'll be out on the night of the 8th. But for the public, it'll be out on the 10th. That is going to be our last video here on my personal YouTube channel for Project Dramond. And then we're moving everything over to the new YouTube channel. Also on the 8th is our final. It's the 6th tabletop session for this playtest of Escape from Prathana, which is the first campaign module. Some good thunder out there. That's going to be this. I need to come up with a name for the campaign at this point, and figure out what it's going to be called. And then this will be, it'll be the campaign will be the name, and then we'll have entries into the campaign like Escape from Parthana, etc., etc., etc. As we go through and follow the campaigns, which are going to mirror the events that are taking place in the book chapters, which are being published through Patreon. Chris actually asked me today. She's like, the next one is chapter 6, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, how many chapters are you writing? I was like, probably 50. The outline has 50 chapters, but um, that remains to be seen. It might be slightly more, it might be slightly less because you never know. I mean, you can make plans, but I don't like to be hardcore about the plans. I like to be a little flexible if I want to add an extra scene here and there. But the plan is to have around 50 chapters, which would give me between, um, well, just depending on if we do like 2,000 words per chapter, which was what we've been doing so far. We got 100,000 word novel. Um, but if we do larger than that, then we have room to expand up to around 150,000 words. So there's room for flexibility in there. But so far during the draft chapters, I've kept them right around 2,000 words. A couple have been a little over, a couple have been a little under, but they're right around 2,000. Now, when I get all of the chapters published, that's when I take them all away and I go down and I do editing and rewrites, and that's when I'll end up fleshing things out more, snipping a couple things here and there, maybe rearranging chapters a little bit, rearranging sections, and it might end up getting a little bigger at that point. Usually things get a little bigger for me. The exception was with the Saga of Lucemia. I ended up pulling out, I think, like around 10,000 words when I did the first revision. But then when I went into, like, by the time I got to the fifth revision, I had added a lot of that, not the same content, but I had added a lot of word content back in, word count anyway, to flesh some certain other areas out here and there. So we're gonna see how this goes. I don't anticipate in that because I'm not writing book one like I would write a traditional novel. Um, so like when I started this most recent novel, um, which was an experiment on my part. Right before we kicked off Project Dramond, it was like February, March. I set myself to sit down. I was trying to do 3,000 word chapters, right? So I was trying to do 3,000 words every time I sat down, and I tried really hard to do that every day, and I got about 10 days where I did every single day. So I got, it was just boom, 30,000 words, and then that just became unfeasible because I have other things. If I was able to write full time, that's a little different, but when you have a day job and all these other things, it's not always necessarily feasible to do that. Um, so I ended up over the course of 2 months. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can pull that up real quick. New novel. I'm curious because I don't remember how many words I have in. I'm 38,000 words. It says. Um, and I think I planned for that to be a 90,000 word novel is what the plan is for that. So I'm not quite halfway. Um, Close to halfway, but I'm 38,047 words in before we jumped into Project Dramond. And then with Saga of Lucemia, the way I did it was I wrote the original chapters way back in the day, and then when I came back and finished up the second half of the book, it took me like 3 months of working almost every single day for at least a couple hours. I got 100,000 words done in about 3 months. Um, and I think that's a pretty good, that's 30,000 words a month, which is, if you look at what a lot of people say, if you can write 1,000 words a day, you can do a novel in 3 months. So, I mean, it depends. I have, I look at guys like Sanderson. It's like it'd be great to do 10,000 words a day, but I don't have the necessarily the time to do that because of all the other things that I have committed myself to. If I cut all of those things out, sure, but that's the thing is writing for me is not the primary way that I make my money these days. So if I was writing novels for a living, then I would be like Kevin J. Anderson or Brandon Sanderson, and I'd be sticking to like a 5 to 10,000 word a day word count because my livelihood would be based on me getting lots of words out. But that's not necessarily the case for me. I have a day job that pays my bills. Now, if and when the patron ever gets to the point where it starts to pay a significant amount of money, well, then that might change a little bit. Um, so in any case, My brother's sending me campfire photos, bastard. Um, since I'm writing this in a serialized format, and we're not doing any, at least at the moment, we're not doing more than 2 chapters a month. And the reason for that is because I need to also, on top of, you know, working on the chapters is one thing, but then I'm also working on the writing for the point and click adventure game and all the quest dialogue and all the product descriptions. When I say product, I mean items. Sorry, item descriptions in the game. So like bookshelves and tables and the skull and crossbones on the wall and you know what's that book called and what's this entry in the journal and when he clicks this needs to pop up. So I'm doing all of that writing as well as all the dialogue and quests and everything else. And then on top of that, I'm doing the campaign module stuff, which the first, just to show you how this works, I went into, this is my tabletop notebook for notes and stuff. So you can't see it because it's the screen, but you can go in here and I've come in and I've got pages of notes, and that's for the campaign, right, for the first module. And then I take those notes and I plan out each session that we've played over the last 6 weeks. And going into each session, I have a section of those notes that I've pulled out and said, this is this session. We have, for the most part, we have gotten through each section as planned. There's been a couple of times when we got a little off to the side because we had Duende's character wanted to go off to the tower by himself, so that got added in. Um, Characters wanted to go off to the church by themselves, that got added in. Um, we didn't have a couple players show up one night, so that took a little spin there. So there's been some times when we've had to rearrange things slightly, but then players have also suggested things during the sessions. We've been like, that's a good idea, and so I add that to the notes. Now, when I come away from this, after we finish up the sixth session this Wednesday, I now have to go away and I actually have to write that first campaign module. I have to take it from my notes and the campaign session notes that we've had, and now I have to actually craft the PDF, which is going to take me, I anticipate, I've got blocked out the rest of September, all of October, all of November, and I'm going to be working on that at least 3 days a week. And then in between there, I have to work on the quest dialogue and things for the game, and then I also have to work on chapter 6. And then this month, I'm only going to do one chapter because I also have to get all the logo stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then getting into October, we're back to 2 chapters a week. So chapter 7, 8, and then chapter 9 and 10 for November, chapters 10 and 11. The idea is that it's 2 chapters every month moving forward for the Patreon. So it's going to take a bit for book one to get published. But it's also, it's a great, in my mind, and this is something we've discussed between the three of us, in my mind, and I guess in our minds, it's a great way to get people inspired to come over and join the Patreon, because as a part of being in the Patreon project, you're getting access to those chapters as they're published every 2 weeks, along with the chapter art, and you get to see all of that as it's unfolding. So you're getting that's part of what your subscription is paying for. And of course, people who don't want to, they can just wait till the book's out, which won't be. I mean, at the earliest, I think maybe could be end of next year, but I don't even, that would depend entirely on if we do what we're hoping to do and we contract out some people to come write. And I've already talked to a couple of people, so you know who you are. If that happens, then I will be less concerned with writing modules, and then I will be more focused on getting the book done, and then I might be able to do like 3 chapters a month. But some of that just depends on if Chris can handle the workload of being able to create chapter art for each chapter as quickly as because I can crank out a chapter in a day. Like it takes nothing for me to sit down and write a 2,000 word chapter. I can do that in a session, easily. I mean, it's 2 hours worth of work. I usually do about 1,000 words an hour, so it's not that inconceivable to sit down and crank out a chapter every single day, a 2,000 word chapter. The complexity is having good chapter art to go along with it and making sure that it's good copy and everything else. So there's a lot going in here. Anyway, that's the plan, rough plan for next year. We'll see. And then once I go away from this, we're looking for character artists as well. that we'd like to hire in like October, because the idea is that September, October, November I write the campaign module, then no December um, I want to flesh out the source book more and add more to the source book and polish up the campaign module and everything else, and then have everything ready for January. And in a perfect world, in January, what we'd like to do is we would then kick off the real playtesting, not the real playtesting, but the real campaign through YouTube. And I've already talked to, we got some people like, I'm going to hold them to it, but like Simmerg and Nathan Napalm from Looking for More Show both expressed interest in joining the voice cast of that the real campaign. But we don't want to start that until we've got the tabletop book ready for sale and that first campaign module ready for sale. And then we'll be diving into that first campaign module, and we will actually the idea is that we would have 52 episodes next year, weekly episodes once a week where we play for about 3 hours each session, and we do that through the whole year. And that entire run is going to be the campaign arc for that first campaign, of which Escape from Parthana is the first module. And then I would be taking my rough notes from my notebook here combined with the sessions that we play, and each one of those sessions gets turned into sections in these campaign modules. And in a perfect world, we would play that out to where the players go from level 1 to level 20 over the course of an entire year. Um, it sounds like a lot of fun. It's very ambitious, but that's what I would be overseeing while my brother is finishing up, um, getting the first game out and then starting work on the second game. And then also I'm handling all the writing for those games, and in between that, the chapter work. It's a lot of work. So we'll see. Let's see. Chris finished the artwork. I think she's pretty much done all the artwork for the logo stuff. We're gonna tease stuff out to our community very soon, to our patrons. We're going to ask some feedback on fonts and colors, so stay tuned for that. I've been working on, I pretty much got everything finalized yesterday. The next thing I'm working on is I'm looking at how to do some aging and um, some aging, some fun stuff with the distortion and stuff of some of the texts, so that I can make these the text stuff look old. The logo, not the text. I keep saying text. The fonts, text stuff, the fonts. Um, and I think that's pretty much kind of just a wrap for this week. So I'm just aging fonts and doing font selection this week. Then we're going to be getting some feedback from our community members. We already did the company logo and everything else we did like a month ago. The brand logo has been what's been taking us more time because we experimented with about I think eight different versions of things that we wanted to see. Eventually settled on the one that Chris and I finalized Saturday, which would have been the 4th of September. That was just a big chunk of our day on Saturday. Was she finished up the one part of the logo, sent that over to me. So I sat with her for about 3 hours, and then she sat with me for about 3 hours, and we just kind of took a six hour chunk of our day and just kind of said, okay, we got it. That's a wrap. Now it's just finalizing font selection and going from there. So getting close. And again, the idea is that once we get to video 100 this Friday, I'm then turning around, and for that second, third, and fourth weeks of September, it's all about getting the websites up and running, getting all of those landing pages ready, getting all of the social media pages ready to go, and everything else. And then probably, possibly October 1st would be a good deadline for that. Would be um, getting all the new sites live, rebranding the Discord, rebranding the Patreon, and rolling right into October, excuse me, with all the new content. And then ideally, again, knock on wood, no promises, but ideally, we will have the demo pretty close to being ready to go at that point, if not ready to go. It's going to depend on a few things. I think there's a couple more weeks of adding. Well, I think there's one more week of adding content. because he's got to do the interior of one more building and add the rest of the quest lines in. But that should theoretically be able to be done by the end of this week, maybe. And then we would have 2 or 3 weeks to just polish it up. And then once we got it all polished and ready to go, that's when we're going to push it out to everybody. But it's turned out to be a little bigger than we thought because we originally said we were going to shoot for like a 20-minute demo, and it's looking like we're going to have closer to a maybe 45-minute experience for people. But I think that's going to depend on the person as well, though, because some people don't like to read all the descriptions. They're not going to click on all the Easter eggs. They're not going to read all the description text for all the different things. They're just going to do the quest line. And if you just do the quest line and that's all you do, it's probably going to be like a 20-minute, maybe 30-minute experience. But if you really immerse yourself and you pay attention to all the writing and everything else, it should be more. Anyway, I'm 35 minutes in. That's enough for today, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm pre-recording this on the 5th of November. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon this Sunday. It's a bit stormy outside. I have Minecraft tonight in a few hours. I did not play last week with my nephew because he wanted to watch a movie with his little sister. But he doesn't have school tomorrow, so the idea is that we're going to play some Minecraft tonight. That's at 7 o'clock, so I got a few hours. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I may go play some more Pathfinder. It's probably what I'll do. Maybe stream. I don't know. Find out. Talk to Chris, see what she's up to. In any case, thanks to everybody following along. Don't forget to subscribe here. Hit the bell icon to get updates for future content. I'm going to be doing a split pea soup this month. That's going to be I haven't done, it's been like 3 months, I think, since we've done a Lotro cooking in real life episode. But I am going to be doing a split pea soup episode this month, so stay tuned for that. Probably not this week, probably the next week. Chris just did, she's been on a Hindu run, so she made butter chicken for the first time this past week, and I have probably gained 10 pounds this past week just gorging on garlic naan and butter chicken, and I've had like acne breakout like you wouldn't believe just from butter and cheese and oils and everything else, but it's been so delicious. She wants to make tikka masala this week. So once she's done with her Hindu experiments and got those recipes in the bag, I'll be making my split pea soup and have a recipe up for everybody. That'll be up on here on YouTube and of course on Patreon. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget, if you want to read the adventures of the main characters in Project Dramond, pick up a subscription over Patreon. Those come out every couple weeks, and there's already 5 chapters up. Chapter 6 will be out sometime in September. We don't have a deadline for that one because we are a little bit overloaded with other stuff. And of course, tabletop tips, maps, and the point-and-click adventure game updates. See everybody next week.